Are you going to shoot another weekly Manos video?
Why bother? I mean, look at the comics fandom these days. It's so entrenched with bigotry and hatred and harassment. Comic books are becoming more expensive, and just there's a lot of stress and money involved in not just creating videos about it, but creating comics. It's a lot of work, and I just don't know if comic books are worth it anymore.
Well, what if I told you can see Batman's penis in his new comic?
Hi, Creepazoids! Welcome to a new episode of the Bat Dick Comedy Hour, also known as the Weekly Manos, where we talk about the week in geek. So let's get started with some geeky comic book and other stuff, no news. And let's get started with the Captain Marvel #1 trailer, posted this past week, Tuesday, on Good Morning America. And let's see, I posted a live video reaction to it on the same day. You can watch it at the links below. But here's my thought concerning the film and the trailer, what I'm getting from it. First off, I'm very excited about it as we get now, this will be a series of trailers. We'll probably have 4 or 5 trailers. And this is the one that is like the starter trailer, like kind of introducing you kind of gradually into this world. They obviously know that Captain Marvel is not a big name with the filmgoers, and hell, even with comic book fans. I can't tell you how many people I know who read comics who go, well, I don't know anything about Captain Marvel or Carol Danvers, but it's okay. I don't know anything, I gotta catch up. Like, yeah, they gotta be caught up on this stuff. So, yeah, it's a nice introduction, and I actually like the fact that we're taking this relatively unknown property, but she is being kind of wrapped up with these layers from the other Marvel films, which is what a great asset it is for each one of these films to kind of play off each other, which is kind of how they did it in the comics back in the day. So yeah, we get Nick Fury is back, and he's sort of narrating it up to a point. Coulson is back, Ronan is back. We're getting into the fact that we have the space stuff that we're kind of expanding on. Not to mention, Avengers Infinity War ended with a big sign like, hey, Captain Marvel's coming to maybe save the day. All that added into this. So it's a great way to introduce it, like an unknown property, like Captain Marvel. So I am all in. Boy, I really like Brie Larson in this. She looks like she's really growing into the part, and boy, the scenes where she is kind of at the command of her Kree unit is looking pretty awesome. I love those scenes of her as a kid falling down and getting back up, the way that's edited, and that makes me feel like this film is going to do what the comics have been doing very well, in that they incorporate her childhood and as far as how it's made her the woman that she is. Love it. I'm very excited about this. And since then, almost instantly, of course, any kind of douchebag out there posted these Photoshop pics of her smiling, and so there, fixed it. You know what? Get out of here with that crap. First off, it's a 2-minute trailer. I'm sure the big scary woman's gonna smile at least once in the 2-hour movie, so you'll be okay. First off, I'm sure Jessica Jones would like to have a word with you. But since we don't have her, Brie Larson actually took the wheel on that and actually posted Photoshop pics of male characters from the MCU film smiling, and that's quite a hilarious response. So, get out of here with that crap. I'm not interested. Not interested. So let's get going to a news story, and there's actually another teaser This one actually is a teaser, not a full trailer, of the Joker movie. Which, hey, 2 weeks ago I was not in on, and I see this teaser and I see some footage and I go, okay, hey, shut up 2 weeks ago, me. This movie looks great. It's a quick, it looks like a test footage of Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. The film is going to be directed by Todd Phillips. It's co-produced by Martin Scorsese, and is actually an origin film that takes place in New York in 1980s. And wow, there's a lot of cool in that paragraph. It's a simple shot of him standing there looking all depressed as this music comes over, and we get flashes of the Joker like superposed on top of him, and then shots of him close up in the makeup smiling and then not smiling. It's really cool. Since this has posted, there's been a couple of pics of him on set in full costume. I love the coloring that they use on him. The suit looks really good. There is a nice mixture of the Heath Ledger Joker and the Cesar Romero Joker, which is a really clever mixture. And I even saw some some actual footage of him on the set with something horrible coming and happening on a subway that he's just casually walking away from like he does. And I am all in on this. I'm so far very excited. Joaquin Phoenix a few years ago was kind of my first choice for Joker. Jared Leto, oddly enough, was my second choice. And oh boy, man, this is kind of killing it for me so far. And what I like is there's enough of Heath Ledger's Joker in here, but not trying to copy it. At least it feels like they're trying to kind of catch the spirit of what he was doing with that. But this is Joaquin doing his thing. So there's no way he's just gonna wuss out and try and copy somebody else. Very curious to see what he does with this. I'm very excited to see where they go. And I have said a lot of hilarious things about the DCEU up until this point, but that doesn't mean I haven't been rooting for them. And I hope they're able to turn this around. And the Shazam film, Wonder Woman 84, and this Joker movie has me thinking, okay, they might be able to fix this. I'm all excited about that. Now, where are we? We are, we're talking about comic book here. We're talking about a film property, 2 comics. Buffy Goes Boom. Yeah, that's right. Joss Whedon's Buffy the Vampire Slayer comic book is jumping ship from Dark Horse Comics over to Boom Studios. And they have a development deal with Fox, creating a new series of, let me see here, comic books, limited series, original graphic novels, and more. Oh no, not more! And it's all centered around the Buffy franchise. Now, there's a shot of her looking like she's in high school, and actually I think it says high school as hell, I think it's the tagline. So I assume they're probably steering away from the continuous series that the Dark Horse books took, and it looks like they're kind of starting over, kind of with fresh eyes, because they have just about everything in the universe they want, so now they can just start fresh and begin again. I think that's what they're going for. So, yeah, we'll take a look at this. I'm very excited to see what Boom does. I've been reading a few Boom books here and there. I love saying Boom books. Let's see. I got this from New Genesis. It's a Boom book. So, I'm curious to see where they go. I guess I'm sad to see that they are ending the canon from the original TV series. At least that's my feeling. We'll see if Dark Horse is able to wrap it up in a nice tight bow. I don't know what they're planning, but I'm at least probably in on the first issue. I know Lindsay is a big Buffy fan too, and I know you were reading the book longer than I was. Do you think you might pick up the Boom series?
Yeah, I'll probably at least try the first story arc of it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a look. Marvel Studios picks Zoe Zhao, director of The Writer and Songs My Brothers Taught Me, to be the director of their potentially their next big franchise, the Jack Kirby created, The Eternals. And for those of you who aren't too familiar with the Eternals, it was a mid-70s book that Jack Kirby had brought to Marvel. And much like DC's New Gods, it was a big, giant, epic, cosmic thing that he had that really didn't go anywhere. The New Gods have at least had the advantage of being tied into the Superman universe, so that's built up popularity over the years, but the Eternals have never really had that luck. They did have a miniseries by Neil Gaiman that came out a few years ago, and while I like that, that's kind of it. It really didn't launch anything, and I'll be honest, I don't really remember much. I'm a big Neil Gaiman fan too, and I'm like, what was that about? I don't remember. I sometimes wonder if it's just had too much of an abstract quality to it. And so a lot of Kirby stuff, sometimes people are a little kind of afraid to touch. So I'm interested in seeing what Marvel does with this property. And one of the cool things about adaptation is you can take something that might be somewhat obscure that people aren't totally into, and when you bring it into like another kind of style of media, like film for instance, you can get fresh eyes on it and have a different like kind of opinion that kind of like is created from that, and you can actually kind of like create more appreciation for the original thing in the first place. I've seen that happen with books and stories and even characters. I know I've had that myself. Sometimes with specific superhero characters, like the Question, I never really was able to get into too much until he started popping up into the Justice League cartoon. And I was like, oh, okay, I get this guy. Why haven't I been into this guy? And I'm thinking that's what Marvel's hoping. I'm curious is if they're going to do something along the lines of Guardians. Before you say, hey, this is a real big risk on this director we've never heard of and this space thing that people don't care about. Hey, Marvel kind of did that before with a huge big hit called Guardians of the Galaxy with the director they've never heard of. Might happen again. I'm curious if they're going to keep with the humorous pace that a lot of their space stuff has done, with the exception of Infinity War. Or are they going to like take a turn and make it a little bit more serious? That might be an interesting way, or at least as serious as like the Star Wars saga or something. The Dark Knight Rises. Brian Azzarello and Lee Bermejo may have given us a gift for the ages in the form of Bat full frontal nudity. Yes, we're going to see Batman's penis in Batman Damned. However, this isn't the classic Batman we've seen over the years, created by legendary artists like Dick Sprang, Dave Cockrum, and Chuck Dixon. No, Damned is the first in a series of DC titles that are going to be labeled the Black Label, a format putting together their classic characters with creators and kind of just letting them run wild. Due to the engorged response, DC is getting a tight grip on these panels by editing out the Justice League member and digital and future printings of this comic. So, if you want the D, you better make sure get it in your pull list. Now, comic of the week, we're going to be going and talking about a couple things here. I usually pick one comic, but hell, this is my show. I can talk about what I want. Comic of the week is a tie between two books, two Marvel books. Life of Captain Marvel, number 3, and Amazing Spider-Man Annual, number 1. Now, I'll talk about Life of Captain Marvel first. I've been really enjoying this miniseries. Essentially, something has happened to Carol that has caused her to kind of reevaluate things and go home and talk to her family. And it has led her on this kind of like story that is kind of like helping her teaching her about something about herself that she hadn't realized. And the story had been really good character stuff, and it was building very well, and then 3 really brings it home. I'm not going to say what, I'm just going to say this has gone from a really good story from Margaret Stoll to a must-have. You should definitely pick this up, especially if you're a Captain Marvel fan, or if you're actually just curious about the character because of the movie. Yeah, pick this miniseries up, and number 3 is just awesome. It makes everything worth it. I love it. Also, my other pick of the week is Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 1, and it is the story of the costume symbiote. And actually, it encapsulates that storyline in one annual, but it's told through the perspective of the symbiote. And it's wonderful. It's narrated by it, and it's like calling Peter friend and referring to his body as meat and talking about other people, they're calling them meat. And it really does care about Peter, which is one of the touching things about the suit. It's always been kind of like hinted at and thrown out there, but you really get to hear its point of view on this. And it's like creepy and touching and weird at the same time. I also love the fact that the art mimics the art style from the mid-'80s, just before Todd McFarlane changed everything. I love that kind of style, and I kind of miss it. I don't see that era of Marvel really so much, not copied, but, reference. We see a lot of Kirby stuff and 90s stuff here and there when they reference old art in the past. But this one, that was something I don't really see too often, and I absolutely loved it. Both these books are available now. Go get them. I love them. Also, we're going to do something new here. We're going to add a new segment called Indie Shoutout, and this is where I'll take a look and suggest to you a indie book that you should pick up. And I'm not talking about like an Image or IDW book. Like if it has a Star Trek license, it's not an indie book. I'm talking about books from creators similar to me, doing everything they can to get a copy of something out there. Now, to let you know, of course, I'm with Short Fuse Media, so I will be talking about a few of their books, but I wouldn't be talking about them unless I absolutely love them. And this week, I'm going to be starting talking about American Dream #1. And this is from Daniel Caliban. It is the story of this young superhero in 1900 New York. And I love comics that essentially, take a superhero and put them in a period piece and try to be historically accurate, or as they can, with superheroes. You see characters that are real-life people, like Houdini, Thomas Edison, J.P. Morgan shows up. There's some wonderful speeches by this union organizer here. And it has to do with this young guy who is a young Jewish man growing up in a poor neighborhood who gets zapped with a energy experiment, like old classic comic books, and develops superpowers. There's a Cthulhu threat coming. I absolutely love it. It's definitely a book worth picking up. It's available at the Short Fuse store. I'll throw a link below. It's available in digital and print. Now, hey, if you are a independent creator and you want me to give you a shout out, hit me up at the Real Manos at my Twitter. Send me a message and maybe we can start talking. Maybe I can talk about your book on this show. So, what else we got? We got one more segment, and it's everybody's favorite segment. Get on the pole! Get on the pole! Yeah! Okay. Now, I think appropriately enough, we should be asking the question, should DC edit out Batman's penis in future printings and digital? Should they do it? Should they, just go, oh, okay, maybe that's a little too far. But no, I think you went ahead and went all through this effort to do it. You should, stick with it. I mean, for God's sakes, Dr. Manhattan was 20 years ago, and that's still, available in print. So, come on. But hey, that's just my opinion. You tell me what you think. Just simple yes or no. Should DC do it? So that's the show this week. Thanks for watching. I'm going to be doing this show, I believe, Mondays. I'm going to try to stick to a schedule with this for the time being and do these episodes on Monday. I'll be talking about, the geeky news that's coming up next week. Be sure to check me out at these links, at The Real Manos on Twitter, Real Manos Facebook. You can support this channel with Patreon at Justin Cristelli. Also, you can check out and follow The Red Knight on Facebook. Check out the link there. And the book is coming soon, so keep an eye out. I think that's it for this show, and welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to me. Whew, it's good to be back. Push the button, Lindsay.
They don't play the song on the radio. They don't show that it's on the radio. They don't know that we are the media. They don't know you